2 minutes later, she's sitting on my couch, watching me eat my apples. And when I say watched, that doesn't really explain what she was doing. She was observing me intensely. She was scrying into my soul, seeing exactly why I was eating apples with almond butter. And then she asked me, "Does it bother you that I'm looking at you like this?" "Yeah." "No," I said, "not at all." "Good," she said. And then she asked, "Can I stay here tonight?" "No, absolutely not." "Yes, sure." Does that? My only excuse is that she had mesmerized me with her intensity, and that I had gone so far down the road of poor decision-making that I might as well just keep going. As soon as the words, "yes, sure," passed my lips, she stood up, she sort of flitted over to me, she kissed me on the cheek and said, "Call me when you're done with your party." And then she was gone, like a submissive ninja. I went to my party, I had a few drinks, and the whole thing receded into the mist of my memory. It was so weird. Surely I had made the whole thing up, and I'd almost convinced myself that it hadn't happened at all, when at about 1 a.m. I got a text message, "When are you coming home?" I texted back as best I could. It might not have made any sense, like, "I've had a few drinks, it's probably not the best time, let's get together tomorrow," whatever. And she went, "But I'm already here." "In my apartment?" "No, I'm outside, I'm in my car, studying. Come home soon." So I did. And we went up to my apartment. I let her in. Yes. We stood across from each other. We hadn't spoken yet, except to say hi. And she unbuttoned her shirt and took it off. And I unbuttoned mine, because I didn't want her to feel like isolated in her shirt. And then she unbuttoned and unzipped her jeans and let them fall to her ankles, and I followed suit, and this was getting awesome. And we kind of walked towards each other. We were standing about 2 inches away from each other. We weren't touching yet, but I could feel her breath on my face. And she picked up a bag she had brought, and she, still being very careful not to touch me, she walked over to my bed and she lay on it invitingly. So I kicked off my jeans, because water walking is actually hard. And went over and I lay next to her, and she reached over me into her bag, and I could only imagine what she was going to take out, like ball gags, restraint, shit I didn't even know the name of. And she very slowly took out a book of short stories by Leo Tolstoy. "I want to read to you," she whispered. Not exactly what I'd had in mind, but alright, I like being read to, and she did. For the next 20 minutes, Casey read to me, and it was real nice. She put the book aside, and then she hovered over me. Her lips were like an inch from mine. And I was wondering, why the fuck isn't she kissing me? And then I realized, I'm the master. I have to tell her what to do. So I said, "Kiss me," and she did. And I said, "Kiss me harder," and she did. "Kiss me here," and she did. Suddenly we were like making out like crazy. We're rolling around. I'm giving her the occasional half-hearted spank. She's laughing and she's having a great time. She somehow ends up on top of me, and her knees are on either side of I realize my arms are pinned down by my sides, and all of a sudden, she slaps me across the face. What the fuck? I say, "What are you doing?" And the next part happens in slow motion. She's laughing, and I'm like, "No," and she's saying something like, I'm a bad girl," and then she really veers back. Even harder, my ears are ringing. I am terrified. I suddenly become a man's man. I flip her over, I pull her hair, I spank her, and it becomes clear I'm going to dominate her. I am going to have sex with her. I'm going to fuck her the way she wants to be fucked, because I am the master. I go to tear her panties off like Michael Douglas in Basic Instinct, but it doesn't work because panties are surprisingly resilient. But it doesn't matter. I'm more excited than I've ever been in my life. Oh shit, no. We got a little too excited. My excitement's all over her back. Yeah, I feel terrible, and I start to apologize, and she turns around with this beatific smile on her face. Did I do okay? And we sort of cuddle up, and we're lying there, And a couple of minutes later, she starts shaking, and at first I think she's laughing, and then I realize, no, she's crying, and I'm worried maybe I was too manly for her, maybe I hurt her. And I ask if she's okay, and she says, I'm thinking about my father. He passed away recently. Oh, I'm sorry. And then she said the 5 words that were inevitable. They were the 5 words that let me know where this whole thing had been going all along. There was nowhere else for this to go. And those 5 words were, you remind me of him. Awesome. So I could go on in the story. It gets stalkery. So I tried to extricate myself. I could tell you about the countless text messages and all the emails and showing up at my office and showing up at my apartment, but the story ends there. And the story begins there too, right? In my bed, me holding a sobbing woman who says I remind her of her dead father, while my excitement dries on the sheets between us. And that is why I took my online dating profile.